Hey guys, I'm Fancy, and this is Murder by Design, and we're bringing you another true crime tidbit. So happy Monday, everybody. A lot of things have happened over the weekend. I had a pretty eventful weekend myself. I spent the night in the hospital with my daughter who had an allergic reaction to almonds. Now, we know that she's had an allergic reaction for years now, but we didn't know that Heath bars had almonds in them, and she ate a dessert this weekend and ended up in the hospital with an allergic reaction. And thankfully, she's fine. But yep, that's how I spent my weekend. How did you spend yours? However, tragically, that is the least of what has happened this weekend. A couple of terrible, horrific stories have unfolded this weekend, and I'm going to talk about one of them today. I was hoping to talk about a couple more, but I just don't have all the details that I'd like to have ready. So we're just going to talk about this one, and then you'll probably get some bonus episodes from me this week with me coming back and talking about the others because they're really important cases. One of them is even a suspected hate crime down in Florida. There's some shootings in all over the country. So we're going to talk about a couple different things. But today, I would like to talk about the tragedy that Judge Esther Salas has had to face. And it's just a sad, sad story. And of course, the name Epstein gets thrown around in here quite a bit. So, we're all on the edge waiting to see what happens to Ghislaine Maxwell's case. But on Sunday, a smaller case attached to Epstein unfolded. In what is being looked at as a targeted hit, Judge Salas's husband and son were shot on Sunday. So Salas's son, Daniel, was 20 years old. He was shot in the heart by a fake FedEx driver. And Salas's husband, Mark, was also shot and remains in critical condition. But Daniel has sadly passed away. Judge Salas was one of the first Latino women to serve as a federal judge in her state. And she was recently assigned a case connected to none other than Jeffrey Epstein. This guy, I'm telling you, the length that we are going to see this case with Epstein and Maxwell go is, I think it's going to be far and wide, guys. What do you think? Tell me what you think. Who's turning in today? Hi, how are you all? Say hello. Let me know you're here. But I really think that this case is going to reach far and wide. I think it's going to touch many different things that maybe we weren't expecting. I think it's going to touch people that we weren't expecting for sure. There's so many conspiracy theories going around right now with sex trafficking with major companies. We talked a little bit about one that we had found, which was the Wayfair one. Now, I still have yet to figure out whether that is even a credible, theory or not, but we thought it was important to talk about it last week. But I mean, it does happen. Sex trafficking happens. It happens all the time. Children are kidnapped constantly. 800,000 children have gone missing in the United States in just a little bit of time. So, I mean, I really do believe that this case is going to break things wide open, and we're going to see a lot of people attached to it that nobody expected. But that being said, so Judge Salas was assigned to a class action lawsuit. Yeah, Allison, it's terribly sad. Class action lawsuit against Deutsche Bank. And the suit alleges that the bank failed to properly monitor customers that the bank itself deemed to be high risk, including, among others, the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And that's according to the federal court filings obtained by CNN. So Judge Salas is no stranger to high-profile cases. He's been found dead in a car in New York with a supposed self-inflicted gunshot wound wearing the FedEx shirt. Yeah. Well, it goes further than that, Christina. I'm going to get to that, by the way. The suit alleges that, I'm sorry, Judge Salas is no stranger to high-profile cases. Salas sentenced Real Housewives of New Jersey stars Teresa Giudice, I don't even know how to say that, and her husband Joe to jail for bankruptcy fraud in addition to other financial crimes. But interestingly enough, Judge Salas showed great compassion for the family and ordered the parents to serve staggered sentences so that their children would have a parent at home during their prison terms, which I think is just incredible. A judge that thinks that way, that feels that way, that wants to keep the family, doesn't want the children to go into the system or have to be, completely scarred by this whole thing. At least they were able to keep one parent at home while this was all going on. And I just think that is, Judice. Okay, thank you, Christina. So Christina says, and I'm going to get to this a little bit later, that the suspect in the shooting has been found dead in a car in New York with a supposed self-inflicted gunshot wound and wearing the FedEx shirt. So, I know that he has been found. I have a little bit more information than that on what is taking place, but we'll get to that in just a second. So the shooter died by what is being called a suicide. Of course he did. Does anyone else think that this is strange? Like, anyone connected in any way, shape, or form to Epstein or any of the Epstein's crap, they just jump? No, it's fine. They just freaking end up dead, like suspiciously. We've all seen the meme that goes around that says that about the Clintons. Like, I don't even have 45 friends, much less 45 people who I know that's committed suicide, right? And I was just talking to my husband about this, and I'm like, and if I do know 45 people who've committed suicide, then maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the shitty friend, right? I don't know. But anyway, he was suspected of killing himself, and it has now come out that the suspected shooter was an attorney. The man was found dead in his Rockford home in the Catskills. The FBI and police are investigating whether the man died of self-inflicted gunshot wounds and whether a gun found at the scene was the one used to kill Judd Esther Salas, his son, and wound her husband. No other details are available at this time. Now, I wonder, Christina, because you said that there's a shooter that was found dead in the car by a supposed self-inflicted gunshot wound and wearing the FedEx shirt. Now, I wonder if that's the same two guys or if there's two people connected to this, because I have heard that they are, that it says suspected shooter or shooters. So I wonder if that means that there's two people already connected to this. It's really strange. What do you guys think? This was a little shorter than I expected it to be, so I'd love to open it up for you guys to talk with me and tell me what you think. This Epstein case, my God, it is incredibly painful to watch all of this, come to light. I think a lot of us I think we all knew that this was happening in our country, but I just don't think, that we ever expected it was going to touch the people it touches. I really think that I really truly believe that we're going to see people in very powerful positions tied to Epstein. I think we're going to see a lot of celebrities tied to Epstein, and it's really sick and twisted. Because even if you are just a person that went over to the island just for a vacation, you can't tell me that you didn't notice something was going on. Did you not notice tons of girls wandering around, underage girls naked and wandering around? I don't know. I feel like if you are on that log, then you know something. And something interesting, and now this is just, I haven't looked into this, so don't quote and say, well, Fancy for Murder by Design said. I saw a couple of pictures that were a little disturbing this week of somebody who I am very, very, very upset if this ends up being true, and that was Tom Hanks. And I saw some pictures this weekend of him wearing an ankle bracelet, and people are alleging, obviously, that instead of having COVID, that he was arrested over in Australia on sexual predator things, and he's been extradited back to the United States and is awaiting trial based on what comes out in the Ghislaine Maxwell case and everything else. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I did see the pictures. It did look like a ankle monitor on his foot, but who knows? Who knows why he would have that? But it's just terribly awful that these things are happening. And, and I think that we have buried our heads in the sand for a long time, knowing that this is happening in our country and is a terrible problem. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, or just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. For anybody that isn't from Louisville, that's Louisville. I used to say it that way till I moved here and people made fun of me. But hey, they call Versailles here. So I don't know. But anyway, I live in Louisville. It is it's kind of like a port city. We're on the river. And there is an extreme big problem with sex trafficking here. And, we've seen it in the malls where they try to approach young girls that are walking through the mall in small groups. I know. 2020 just needs to, can we just skip to December, give out gifts to everybody, have a wonderful time, and ring in the new 2021 and be done with all this? I can't, Thanks, Elaine. I don't know if I'm the first. I know Crime Online has been reporting about it, but I don't know that mainstream media is, because I don't know if it fits the narrative that mainstream media wants to put out there right now. It seems to me that anything that's even remotely gone across, from what they want, they're just not reporting on it. We didn't even get a report of the fact that Hillary Clinton was indicted for all the things that she's done, so, and that she has to testify. We never even heard about that in the news. So the news is definitely creating narratives right now. Yeah. Money buys power and silence. It's time for people to be held accountable. Absolutely, Christina. I totally agree with that. I do believe that is what has been going on for so long, and that we've been letting people who, could get off. It's kind of like money talks, and I'm hoping that this time we're actually going to see a real justice come to life here with this story. Although I do believe it's going to break a lot of people's hearts. I think that people that have been, pillars of their communities and looked to as being really, great and inspirational people are going to get touched by this, and it's going to be very upsetting. I know that when the whole Cosby scandal broke, that was devastating for me. I grew up watching the Cosby Show, watching him do Fat Albert, hey, watching him, pudding pops, that whole thing. And I just loved him. I thought he was a good, clean, wholesome man. And that case, when it came out and broke, it was devastating. I was just like, not Mr. Huxtable. Oh my God. When Weinstein came out, I was like, I expected that. He's a fat, old, gross guy. I've heard a lot of stories from my friends about him. I've always thought so. But I know I wanted Dr. Huxtable to be my dad too. Exactly, Christina. Exactly. But I really think we're going to hear some different names that are going to be crushing for a lot of people. And I'm trying to prepare myself for that. I'm already upset because Disney has been connected to this. As you know, I'm a huge Disney fanatic. I worked for Disney on 2 separate occasions. I worked in the Disney stores, and then I worked at the park in Disneyland. My husband helped open California Adventure. I still have friends that are managers and have lived their whole lives working for Disney. And now Disney is being connected to a lot of these things through some of their movies. I saw the stuff about Pinocchio, and it just never dawned on me. You think about it, you're like, oh, the Lost Boys and blah, 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 blah. I don't know if they're not called the Lost Boys, but the land of whatever that they take them to. Dude, that's totally child sex trafficking. He sells them to people to work as slaves. That's totally sex trafficking. It's so... and Disney, there's been a couple of Disney employees that have been linked to a rest down in Florida. It's just heartbreaking for me, being a huge Disney fan and having this come forward as something that, they may be connected in ways too. And I think that Walt would be just absolutely devastated, because that's not what he wanted for his legacy and his company. He wanted everybody to be able to enjoy something, and be affordable to everyone, which it's not, but that was what his original plan was. So you guys let me know in the comments what you think of this whole thing with Epstein, with Judge Salas, with the FedEx driver. Let us know in the comments over on YouTube at youtube.com/murderbydesign. Wednesday, we will be releasing our final episode in the Oakland County child murders, which, is very similar to what we're seeing right now. It definitely was a sex trafficking ring of children. Oh, yeah. Exactly. There was that girl in Smallville who was a part of trafficking. It's just sad. It's just very sad. But the Oakland County child murders, if you haven't checked it out, we've done 2 episodes so far, plus a bonus episode with a very long interview with J. Reuben Appelman, who wrote The Kill Jar. And I have it right here. I'm going to show it to you. It's The Kill Jar. It is our book of the month. You can go on over to our Instagram, get a link to purchase it. Also, if you purchase it on Amazon Kindle, it's $11.99, but you get an $8.99 credit immediately for your next purchase. So I'm going to drop a link to that in the comments so that you guys can go over and grab a Kindle version of The Kill Jar if you want to read that. It's really great, guys. It's amazing, and I love it. It was a really good read, let me tell you, and he did an awesome job of laying it out and putting things together. So, now the underlings God, if people actually read about him, they would see. Well, Courtney, I don't know about that. I mean, I'd be willing to check it out. I just, maybe he was, but back, and I can also say it, I know this is not an excuse, but back then it was acceptable. People didn't, kind of call it out, and that's not an excuse, but it does explain the time period that he lived in and why he might have been like that. It was kind of an expected thing at that time. I'm not justifying that in any means. I think it's wrong all the way across the board, but I can definitely say that might be part of the reasoning that his books took those undertones. And maybe he was, I don't know. But, the company itself, I loved working for. So, very fond memories of. But anyway, so go on over and either pick up a copy of the actual physical book, The Kill Jar, and we have a link to that on our Instagram, or I'm going to drop a link for the Kindle version down here in our comments. On Murder by Design, we've been talking about the Alyssa Turney case. Terrible case. Oh, it's so sad. And we've been having, we've been including some of the interview we did with her sister, Sarah Turney, over there. So you guys, we've got a lot of great stuff coming out. If you guys would like to have us cover a specific case, you can always drop us an email at goodwivesdish, that's DISH, @gmail.com, asking us to cover a specific case or look into a specific case. We do look into cold cases. We work with Cold Case Research Institute founder Cheryl McCollum. We also work with Todd Matthews from NAMIS, who is part of the Missing Persons Network. So we definitely have some things to look into if you guys want us to do that. Beyond that, guys, have a wonderful Monday, and I'll see you again later. Bye.